Congratulations. Next slide, please. And again, our own Rich Snipe was honored, this time by City Council with the designation of Rich Snipe Day on December 5th. Rich serves as the dedicated executive director of our affiliate, Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. Rich, we thank you so much for your continued leadership. Congratulations.
Thank you. Our next announcement, Kayla Williams will be joining us related to some URA sponsorship application announcements or opportunities.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Good afternoon, URA board members. Thank you for allowing me this time on the agenda today. My name is Kayla Williams. I am the communication assistant at the URA. I'm thrilled to share exciting news regarding the 2024 URA sponsorship program, a pivotal initiative that underscores our commitment to supporting and enhancing the vibrant community that we serve. As stewards of progress and catalysts for positive change, the URA recognizes the significance of collaborative partnerships, realizing our shared goals. With this in mind, the 2024 sponsorship program is set to embark on a new chapter, providing opportunities for businesses and organizations to align themselves with our mission and contribute to the prosperity of our community. The 2024 URA sponsorship program application window opens on Monday, January 8th, 2024. We encourage interested parties to submit their applications promptly, as the window will close on Friday, March 8th, 2024. This ensures a thorough review process and allows us to select partnerships that best align with the URA's objectives, and awardees will be notified on Monday, April 8th, 2024. The URA sponsorship program provides a platform for mutually beneficial partnerships, fostering a strong sense of community and shared purpose. We believe by collaborating with like-minded entities, we can amplify our impact to drive positive change. There are 3 tiers of sponsorships. Tier 1 is up to $1,500, Tier 2 up to $5,000, and Tier 3, which is an Avenues of Hope sponsorship of up to $7,500. Those sponsorships are reserved for businesses and organizations that are located on an Avenues of Hope corridor. Those corridors are Chartiers Avenue, Homewood Avenue, Larimer Avenue, Perrysville Avenue, 2nd Avenue, and Warrington Avenue/Brownsville Road. I encourage all eligible organizations to explore this unique opportunity to contribute to the betterment of our community. Your support will not only benefit the URA, but will also showcase your commitment to the values that underpin our collective vision. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to witnessing the positive impact that this program will undoubtedly bring to our community. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. For the public's benefit, the interpreters are on now. So if you will need those services, again, the names are Ellen Brokenshire and Madison Eibel. Joining us for our next announcement is James Reed. Actually, our next 2 announcements. James Reed will be joining us.
Good afternoon, members of the board, directors, and the general public. My name is James Reed, and I'm the Senior Manager of Development Finance here at the URA. I'm honored to speak with you today about the retirement of the Panther Hollow Tax Increment Financing District. I just want to take a couple of moments to celebrate this retirement, as I think it's a prime example of how public finance can be leveraged how public finance can be used to leverage the intellectual, innovative, and business energies that have really helped propel Pittsburgh's economy over the last several decades. The Panther Hollow TIF district was created in 2002 and was a vehicle to allow the city of Pittsburgh Public Schools, and Allegheny County to invest in public infrastructure improvements that aided the creation of Carnegie Mellon University's Robert Mehrabian Collaborative Innovation Center. The $4.13 million TIF financing was used to fund public infrastructure improvements such as site utilities, public access roads, retaining walls, traffic lights, street widening, public sidewalks, and the foundation of the parking garage. The overall project budget was roughly $33 million. The resulting CIC is a 131 square foot research and development center with 200 parking garage. And, you know, a lot of times we talk about people in place mattering. And so I just gave you an overview of the place. In terms of the people, the energies that were really allowed to be unleashed in this project saw early stage activity from Google, Apple, Intel, and Disney, as well as this facility being home to CMU's Create Labs and Scilab Security and Privacy Institute. So, you know, this has been a critical part of Pittsburgh's innovative economy really over the last couple of decades. And that impact is not limited to unleashing those energies and creating jobs. In terms of what our investors have received and will receive going forward into the future, you know, before this TIF district, this site was underutilized and was generating $0 in tax revenues. During the life of the TIF district, the building has generated roughly $700,000 in real estate and parking tax revenues. Roughly $415,000 of that was used for debt service, and the remaining $285,000 was, you know, collectively available to the taxing body investors on, you know, the pro rata basis. With this retirement, we estimate that the taxing bodies will collectively collect $714,000 thereabout per year. So I just think this is a great impact for the city of Pittsburgh and for our investors. And so I'm so glad that the URA was able to really participate in something like this. And I look forward to having opportunities for investment like this in the future. Any questions on this one?
Yeah. Thank you, James. Any questions or comments from board members? I think you gave a great overview, you know, in terms of the impact that was made and certainly what the taxing bodies are going to receive going forward. You know, and I think when we think about tools like this and the investment opportunities that the public is making, you know, but for the public's investment, this project doesn't happen, right? And all of these benefits that James just went through wouldn't have happened, let alone all the follow-on investments that have happened for the city's you know, and the region's benefit and, you know, the $715,000 a year that the taxing bodies are going to receive, you know, heretofore wouldn't have happened. So thank you for, you know, giving that overview. Thank you to the team that worked on this 20 years ago, you know, for the work that you did and the foresight that you had, and, you know, the taxing bodies for agreeing to make these investments and now sort of reap not just the benefits that James went over, but, you know, that annual money that's going to hit their books every year. So thanks, James. And you're with us for the next announcement. So I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you. Now I'm going to speak to you about the Enterprise Zone Tax Credit Awards for the 2023 cycle. For those who are unfamiliar, the Enterprise Zone Tax Credit Program is offered by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it's an incentive program that provides tax credits to businesses or private companies investing in rehabilitating, expanding, or improving buildings or land located within enterprise zones. You know, Pittsburgh has been a long participant in this program, and you know, this last season we had a pretty robust application cycle. So of the applications that we received, I think there are roughly 11. Two ultimately were awarded enterprise zone tax credits, and that's the New Granada Theater in the Hill District and Hazel Grove Brewing Company in Hazelwood. So, you know, just a couple of items to note from their application materials. You know, the New Granada Theater is going to really try to restore, a gym in the Hill District, and is estimated to have a black box theater, cafe and lounge, multi-use event space, and also be home to University of Pittsburgh's Community Engagement Center. And I know folks have seen New Granada Theater in other board meetings, so I'll kind of keep those remarks short there. The Hazel Grove Brewing Company, they are taking on a project in Hazelwood or along Second Avenue, and what they're really trying to do is have a brew house, and they're going to be partnering with Community Kitchen Pittsburgh to offer some food service there as well.
Thanks, James. Questions or comments from board members? In addition to what James said, I'd just like to thank the team at DCD, for these awards within the city and our state delegation, certainly for helping to advocate for these investments. They are a critical tool to help projects move forward, and provide good value through a saleable tax credit that funds that otherwise they wouldn't be able to access. So thank you, James. Moving into our regular agenda. Our first set of items are in residential lending and investments. And joining us for a couple housing preservation program projects will be Ben Payton.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Ben Payton. I'm the manager of the residential lending department here at the URA. We're here to present on a couple housing preservation program loans. We have 4 total. I believe the plan here is we're going to vote on them all at once, but we're going to run through them. I'll speak, and then we'll have the developers come up and say a few words, and then go through like that. So this is the second batch of housing preservation program loans. Last month we brought 5. This month we're bringing 4 for a total of $2,019,802. And across all 4 of these projects, we're talking about 421 units of affordable housing. So the first one I'm going to present on is the New Penley revitalization. We can go to the next slide. So this is the authorization to enter into a housing preservation program loan agreement with New Penley Revitalization LLC in the amount of $500,000 for the acquisition and rehabilitation of New Penley Phase 1 and New Penley Phase 2, 136-unit community located at the corner of Penn Avenue and North Nagley Avenue in the East Liberty neighborhood, Ward 11 in the city of Pittsburgh. So like I said, this is to fund the consolidation of 2 existing entities into one. There's going to be 136 units across a variety of building types. The previous phases included a multi-story apartment building, townhomes, and walk-ups. 107 of those units will be kept affordable at 50 and 60% AMI, with a total project cost estimated to reach $30 million. The developer is the Community Builders, who is a national developer active in 14 states and Washington, D.C. The Community Builders have executed multiple affordable housing developments in the Pittsburgh region, including many units in the East Liberty neighborhood alone. This is a RAD conversion project, something that the Community Builders has significant experience with. The developer entered into a RAD conversion agreement with HUD, which will allow the public housing units to become Section 8 assisted units. And this conversion also allows the project to take on much more debt than previously. The developer anticipates beginning construction in the second quarter of 2024 and to be completed in the third quarter of 2025. Again, this is a authorization to enter into a $500,000 loan from the Housing Preservation Program. And with that, I believe we should have Mr. Juan Powell on the line to say a few words for the Community Builders and the development.
Yes. Good afternoon, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and I'll be very brief. This is a very important project, certainly one that's important to the East Liberty community. It's very important to maintain affordable housing in an area that's experienced the level of success that this one has. And so I would just continue to encourage and appreciate the level of support from the URA over really decades of involvement in East Liberty with TCB, and we thank you for the continued support.
Great, thanks, Mr. Powell. So we can take any questions. No? Okay. Go on to the next one. So the next one here is Marion Plaza. So this is an authorization in it to enter into a housing preservation program loan agreement with Marion Plaza or a related entity in an amount of $269,802 to allow the general partner to purchase the interests of the limited and special limited partners in Marion Plaza Apartments, located at 8601 Bryceland Street in the East Hills neighborhood. So the Marion Plaza Apartments recently reached the end of their 15-year LIHTC compliance period. The for-profit entities that make up the investor limited partner and special limited partners wish to exit the deal and want to sell their interest to the nonprofit partner entity in entity that is the general partner. And so we are funding the nonprofit general partner here. The property has an existing HUD debt, has existing HUD debt, and HUD guidelines prevent the entity from using cash flow or reserves to purchase the entity or to purchase the interest in the entity. Therefore, the nonprofit general partner lacks cash to purchase the entities. This action secures the affordability of all 50 units in the property for the next 40 years. The property has an existing HAP contract with the Housing Authority, and as of July, 46 of those units were rented, with only 4 vacant. So to reiterate here, the goal of the action is to provide the nonprofit general partner in Marion Plaza with a one-time lump sum to purchase the interest of the other partners in the entity. I believe we should have Mr. Tom Lowry on the line, who is with the nonprofit, to answer any questions.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm here. My name is Tom Lowry. I'm the president of the board of directors at Marion Plaza. We appreciate very much your willingness to take a look at this transaction and be so supportive of us. Marion Plaza was created in the late 1980s to develop and own a 50-unit affordable senior housing development using HUD 202 and some parish funds. In 2007, with the development assistance from Ralph A. Falbo, Inc., and eventually Michael Polite, the owner restructured the financing through the addition of low-income housing tax credit equity and a new tax-exempt bond-funded first mortgage to fund modest capital improvements and to create funding to underwrite on-site resident services. The federal tax credit 15-year compliance period has now run out. It was completed in 2022. Now the tax credit investor wants to exit ownership, and today's URA action will fund this transaction, which will reestablish and preserve the nonprofit ownership of Marion Plaza. No other funder could provide such a flexible resource, so we very much appreciate the URA's willingness to get involved in this and to help us keep affordable housing in the East Hills area. Thank you very much.
All right, next I believe we have the Pacelli House, and with that, turn over to David here.
Good afternoon. My name is David DiBernardo. I'm a residential lending analyst at the URA. I'm here today seeking a $200,000 housing preservation program loan for the renovation of Pacelli House in the form of a 40-year, 0% interest cash flow loan. Pacelli House is a 20th century Victorian home that has been purchased in 1987 and turned into subdivided into 6 apartments, 5 one-bedroom apartments and 1 two-bedroom apartment. 5 apartments are affordable to families earning at or below 80% of area median income. The 2-bedroom unit is rented at market rate. Oakland Planning and Development Corporation has a decades-long history of providing affordable housing in the Oakland neighborhood. They currently own and operate over 100 units of affordable housing. Over the past few years, the deferred maintenance on Pacelli House has accumulated into an acutely problematic situation. The roof has begun leaking, which has rendered one of the units unlivable. The longer this situation continues, the worse the problem gets as other damage accumulates. These funds are seeking money to renovate and add a new roof, gutters, soffit, fascia, as well as carpeting and painting the interior walls. This work will not only restore the unoccupied unit to service, but will greatly improve the lives of the people that live there. So to reiterate, I'm seeking a $200,000 housing preservation program loan for the renovation of Pacelli House. Joining us today in person to speak about Pacelli House renovation is the interim director of the Oakland Planning and Development Corporation, Andrea Boykovich. I'm sorry. You can step up to the microphone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Andrea Boykowicz. I'm the interim director at OPDC, and thank you so much for your consideration of this loan application. Pacelli House has been is one of the first properties that OPDC acquired and renovated for new residential opportunity in Oakland. We'd love to be able to preserve the building, which has a great deal of meaning in the context of the neighborhood, and we would like to be able to improve the living conditions for the people who live in this building. It's a very simple, straightforward project. We really appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to the next project, which is Wood Street Commons. So I am seeking a $1,050,000 housing preservation program loan for the renovation of Wood Street Commons in the form of a 40-year, 0% interest cash flow loan. Wood Street Commons is a 259 unit affordable housing facility located on 3rd Avenue in downtown Pittsburgh. The residences at Wood Street were founded 15 years ago to save Wood Street Commons from default and closure. They purchased this in 2009 and preserved the 259 units of affordable living. Wood Street Commons serves 3 different rental categories. 90 of these units are naturally occurring affordable housing. 93 units are Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh Section 8 housing voucher units, and 76 are funded using a master contract from Community Health Services. Wood Street Commons does not require down payments, security deposits, or credit checks. It provides homeless programs, bridge housing, medical respite units, and subsidized housing that includes services utilizing a housing first harm reduction model. This planned renovation will address deferred maintenance and improve the quality of the housing, the safety of the residents, enhance operational efficiency, increase digital access, and repair critical building structures. So to reiterate, I'm seeking a $1,050,000 housing preservation program loan to augment the already funded raise and be able to begin construction in early spring 2024. Joining us in person to speak about the Wood Street Commons renovation is the Executive Director of the Residences at Wood Street, Kevin Hanley.
Thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to come to the board for this loan. We are structuring this financing in addition to a loan or a grant that's been secured from the Hillman Foundation, as well as PHFA money. To reiterate, we're looking at Wood Street Commons. It's about a 100-year-old building down there at the intersection of Wood Street and 3rd. We have been investing ever since the nonprofit took over about 13 years ago, and we'll continue to make those investments to secure all of the affordable units that are in the building. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and Ben, Juan, Tom, Andrea, and Kevin for going over all 4 of those projects. With that, if there's any questions or comments from board members.
What's the length of the affordability for the East Liberty project and the Pacelli House? The other 2 were 40 years. They're both 40 as well? Okay.
Any other questions or comments from board members? I know we saw a number of these preservation projects last month, and spoke sort of at length about the importance, not just for these investments sort of generally, but specifically the application of the rescue plan dollars, and I think I would just carry forward those comments from last month as another great example of us, putting these funds towards generational investments in the preservation of affordable housing, and, to underscore both what you highlighted so well in the presentations and the councilman's question, 40 years and having 421 units now secured for that length of time is no small feat, and nothing that, I think something that bears repeating and celebrating. So thank you all, for your work on that, and the development partners, in the community that have been shepherding these projects and, now are able to take advantage of this. I know we had, I think was close to $9 million in preservation funds allocated through the ARPA plan. With these 4 investments, where does that bring us to in terms of expending, and sort of how much do we have left?
Yeah, so about 1.5. We would have about 1.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
1.5 million.
Of uncommitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. If there's no other questions or comments from board members, I would entertain a motion to approve. Just for the record, we are voting now on items 5A through D. So all those in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Then the motion's carried. Thank you all very much. Our next item on the agenda is a rental gap program for Stanton Highland Apartments. And joining us for this is Niklas Persson. Niklas, I'll turn it over to you. You only have one item this month.
I do, as luck would have it. Just turn this up a bit. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Niklas Persson. I am a lending analyst in the residential lending department of the URA. And as Chairman Jalopoulos said, unlike last month where I'd done 5 presentations, I only have 1 project to present on. So I won't be doing much rambling of cash flow repayments and records of deed restrictions. No, actually, this is an interesting project for me because I actually presented on this one before last year, March of 2022, and some of you might be familiar with it. It is the Stanton Highland Apartments. The authorization here is to amend the rental gap program loan agreement with AHI Stanton Highland Apartments Incorporated, increasing the original loan amount from $690,000 to $1,176,491 for the rehabilitation of Stanton Highland Apartments in the East Liberty neighborhood of Pittsburgh. For context, the nonprofit developer Action Housing acquired 3 former dormitories from the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. These are known as the Anderson, McMillan, and Hawthorne buildings. Action Housing acquired these properties with the intention of converting them into affordable rental housing for low-income individuals and families. The development was broken out into 2, bless you. The development was broken out into 2 phases. The first phase was for the rehabilitation of the Anderson and McMillan buildings, which have already been completed. The second phase is for the rehabilitation of the Hawthorne building, which includes converting 10 of the 23 units within to become fully ADA compliant, which is an impressive effort by Action Housing to increase the stock of ADA compliant housing in the city of Pittsburgh. And this and with that, of course, with the increase in ADA units within this building, it has resulted in higher development costs. Regardless, though, Action Housing was able to locate multiple sources of financing to cover these costs, including funding from the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, PHFA, Dollar Bank, as well as the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. And it was this board in March of 2022 that agreed for the URA to enter into a $690,000 RGP loan funded entirely with Housing Opportunity Fund 2021 dollars. And it was that funding, and combined with the funding that I had mentioned earlier, that this project had a financial closing on January 19th, 2023. And since then, Action Housing and the general contractor have been working diligently to make sure these renovations are completed. However, During the demolition phase of these renovations, the team had discovered that this nearly 75-year-old building is in frankly much worse condition than they had originally anticipated. And in order to incorporate many of these ADA features into the building, it has, including the incorporation of an entirely new elevator shaft, mind you, it has resulted in many change orders being submitted that have increased the development costs. To put it into a picture, as of November 2023, so last month, the general contractor has submitted 34 change orders to the developer, resulting in roughly $377,000 in additional costs. And with only 65% of the renovations complete, the developer is anticipating more change orders to come. And so that is why Action Housing has approached the URA requesting financial assistance in order to cover these costs. And in the interest of maintaining the affordability of these units and to increase the stock of ADA compliant use in the city of Pittsburgh, I'm here in front of this board today requesting the authorization to amend the original RGP loan agreement and increase the amount from $690,000 to $1,176,491. Thank you. That is my presentation. It is with great pleasure now that I get to introduce Lena Andrews, the Vice President of Real Estate Development at Action Housing, to provide a few brief remarks and to help in answering any questions the board has.
Neat class. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. And I want to start by thanking the URA for being our partner in good times and more challenging times. This project's been so hard. A lot of these funding sources have restrictions on how much contingency you can include in a project. And we think every renovation should have a 15% contingency from now on, because every time we open up one of these buildings, and I'm working on another one with Annette, we find all kinds of crazy stuff. So we found many crazy things. Kiana lives like a block away from this project, so maybe you can see all of the challenges we've been facing. So thank you so much for increasing the loan. Thanks so much to Niklas for his amazing work, and to the URA, and to James Aish on my staff, who is leading this project. He's done a great job. So thank you. And I do want to answer Megan Confer-Hammond's question that she had. The 1-bedroom units are between 625 and 740 square feet, but we were able to make 10 out of 23 units ADA accessible, which is a big deal. And we changed the layout to make it more amenable to people in wheelchairs. And I can't remember if she had another question. And every unit in this phase has a project-based voucher. So we're going to be able to house a very low-income population. So any questions? Great. Thank you.
Any questions, comments from board members? Niklas, and Lena, just thank you for your work on this. Lena, I would thank Action Housing too for taking on a lot of challenging projects. Some of the most challenged ones that, I know we see, but the care and consideration you and the team bring to them, is great. And so, it's always a pleasure to, have the opportunity for us to invest in those projects and, protecting long-term affordability as well as deliver on all the other, objectives that you touched on there. So if there's no other questions or comments from board members, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Our next item on the agenda is another rental gap program loan for BH Venture 1, and David DiBernardo is coming back to join us for this one.
Be back. My name's David DiBernardo. I'm a lending analyst at the Residential Lending Department of the URA. I am here today seeking a authorization for a $1.25 million rental gap program loan for the new construction of a project called Uptown Flats in the form of a 40-year 0% interest cash flow loan. Uptown Flats is a 34-unit new construction being developed by a partnership between Bethlehem Haven of Pittsburgh and Action Housing Incorporated. Bethlehem Haven of Pittsburgh is a service provider for women at risk of homelessness, and Action Housing is an affordable housing developer that specializes in supportive housing. The name of this partnership is BH Venture 1 LP. Uptown Flats is located at 1400 to 1406 Fifth Avenue in the Uptown neighborhood of Pittsburgh. This location is currently made up of 4 vacant 4-story buildings, which will be demolished and replaced by a single 4-story building that will exclusively be occupied by 34 affordable apartments and office space for Bethlehem Haven staff on the first floor. This building is directly up against Bethlehem Haven Women's Shelter, which is currently owned and operated by Bethlehem Haven of Pittsburgh. These 34 units will be comprised of 4 units for residents earning at or below 30% of AMI, 14 for residents earning at or below 50% of AMI, and 16 for residents earning at or below 60% of AMI. This is a 9% LIHTC deal that was awarded last year as well, just to put that out there. This permanent affordable supportive housing will create a vital addition to Bethlehem Haven's existing housing continuum that will allow vulnerable residents to find stability and success in life. So to reiterate, I am here seeking authorization for a $1.25 million rental gap program loan for the new construction of Uptown Flats. And joining us today in person to speak about this project is the Executive Director of BH Venture One LP, Annette Fetchko.
Good afternoon, and I want to thank everyone, the URA board participants. I'd especially like to thank David DeBernardo. I'm a little nervous. As well as Councilman Lavelle. We spoke about this project when I first came to Bethlehem Haven almost 4 years ago. It is a personal and professional dream of mine that we're able to renovate our 1410 Fifth Avenue building as a preservation building for 26 women with physical and behavioral health disabilities, as well as continue to build our continuum mission of homelessness with the 34 low-income affordable housing unit, which we're here today, which will house both men and women, children, families. It is really a dream of ours, and we're here today to really thank all of you for your willingness to make such a commitment to really understanding how to really address the homelessness crisis, which is really supportive, permanent supportive housing, such as the model we're in partnership with Action Housing. So thank you. I didn't mean to mispronounce your last name.
I do it all the time. Thank you for coming in. And with that, I'll take any questions or ask you guys if you'd like to vote.
Sure. Thank you, David. I'll open it up for questions or comments from the board. Representative Towson, you're virtual and have your hand raised. So since you're so polite, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Chairman. So just a quick question. This is a wonderful project, but I'm very familiar with the services that Bethlehem Haven provides. Will you also be providing wraparound services to those within Uptown Flats as needed?
Question, could you repeat that?
Wraparound services for all the residents.
And that if you'd like to explain about, thank you.
I'd be happy to. I think that is really what is so unique about the co-developer partnership between Bethlehem Haven of Pittsburgh and Action Housing is the fact that we brought together 2 mission-minded partners that will allow us not only to provide permanent supportive housing, but utilize the expertise of the Bethlehem Haven case management staff to really be able to have real and time access to supportive services. Our administrative offices, of which the case management staff is a part of, are actually going to be housed in the first floor of the new building. So they'll be supporting the 26 women in our 1410 Fifth Avenue residential program, as well as we'll be expanding the complement of case management to support the individuals and families in the 34 low-income affordable housing units known as Uptown Flats.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Councilman.
Thank you. Not as much a question, but just sort of a statement. So one, thank you for your work on this over the years. So often, as we're having this sort of citywide conversation of this homeless crisis, unfortunately, so often part of that conversation is, yes, we need to address it, but not in my neighborhood. And you spent a good amount of time working with the community to get their support, to get their buy-in, so that this actually could occur in a corridor that can support it, that supports, that's on the transit corridor, that can get into downtown, that can get the services they need, all those wonderful sort of things. And correct me if I'm wrong, but all the units will be open to individuals who fit, I don't know what the technical definition is, but the definition of homelessness, correct? Yeah. So it's just it's testament to your work over the last 4 years to try to make this a reality. And also thank you, I guess, to the residents of the Uptown community for acknowledging the need and being willing to accept this.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah.
Public question, if I may, and I was remiss before I sat down, so I extend my apologies.
Beat me to it, so thank you.
Oh, okay, all right. It has really been a privilege as Bethlehem Haven celebrates 41 years of providing emergency shelter for women, that from day one, we have been a trauma-informed, low barrier model, meaning that we welcome all. And we are inclusive in terms of any LGBTQ transgender populations. We actually try to make the accommodations that are appropriate, because oftentimes coming into a congregate emergency shelter setting or a residential setting can be traumatizing. So part of the work we did in renovating emergency shelter was being able to provide the supportive services for not only LGBTQ and other populations, but as we see women aging into homelessness. So our mission is to really meet people where they are. That's also going to be true with the 1410 and the Uptown Flats project. Much of the work we've done with the architects and the general contractors in collaboration with Action Housing has been to really create a trauma-informed space. So that's really been our goal as a part of our mission and as a part of this partnership. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the board? Executive-elect Morano?
Thank you, Chairman. Annette, I just want to thank you for your work that you're doing. And it's just more of a comment of the work that we're doing to address homelessness and to really support our unhoused neighbors. This is the type of infrastructure that we need to provide the continuum of care necessary to move people from a place of vulnerability and being unsheltered to a place of stability. And this is just hopefully our first step in bringing more units like this online in the city of Pittsburgh, but throughout the region. So thank you for this work.
And good job on the architecture and building something that's contextual to the neighborhood and not just a dull, flat, gray building. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
Motion to approve.
That's good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Then the motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Before we move on in the agenda, I do want to go back to the last item we just voted on, 5E. The resolution speaks to an increase of $690,000. But as the presentation and director's report notes, it's an increase of $486,491. So I would look to my fellow board members to amend the resolution to be an increase of the loan for $486,491, which was the original, or excuse me, to the original loan amount of $690,000 for a new total loan amount of $1,176,491. Entertain the motion to amend the resolution.
So moved.
We have a second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? And the amended, the resolution is amended and approved. Thank you. And thanks to Executive-elect Anna Morano for catching that. So moving on in the agenda, we have a number of authorizations related to the 9% low-income housing tax credit pre-applications, and our Chief Housing Officer, Kiana Wasser, will be joining us for this.
Thank you, Chair Chinchilopoulos. I'll start off the presentation with a brief description of the process that housing staff has taken to get to this board resolution. Then we'll get into the specifics of the resolution. I will not read every resolution in detail. I'll leave that up to you at the end, if that's okay. So the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency opens their low-income housing tax credit, or LIHTC round, annually, which allocates federal tax credits either competitively for the 9% credits or non-competitively for their 4% credits, for the goal of creation and preservation of affordable housing. Most LIHTC projects need gap financing from the URA, and some also require site control of URA or city-owned land. To understand the pipeline of potential projects and the resultant demand for URA resources, the URA opened its own LIHTC pre-application round, which closed on October 16th, 2023. The URA's pre-application round allows the URA to evaluate the potential LIHTC applications relative to each other, as well as consolidating URA processes for applicants that are requesting URA or city-owned property, as well as financing to be included in their LIHTC projects. This year, we received 17 pre-applications for LIHTC projects located within the city of Pittsburgh, and 7 of those applications are requesting URA or city-owned property. The URA's housing department worked closely with our real estate department to review all 7 of these requests. Projects that receive LIHTC awards will come back to the URA board for formal approval of financing, as well as any additional real estate disposition related actions. So to abbreviate the presentation of these 7 projects requesting URA land, I'll summarize the authorization for each project and then give a short project description. A more detailed description is available to the board members and the public via the board agenda. To that end, authorization to enter into exclusive negotiations with the following developers for the sale and redevelopment of the following projects. For site control through December 31st, 2024, with an automatic extension to mirror PHFA's closing deadline if the project receives a 9% LIHTC allocation is requested for. Number 1, Bedford Dwellings Phase 2C, located in the Crawford Roberts neighborhood with Trek Development as the developer. Trek was awarded a $50 million Choice Neighborhoods Implementation Grant to rebuild Bedford dwellings. The full development will involve multiple applications to PHFA for low-income housing tax credits. Phase 2 will result in the construction of 180 units on Francis Street. The sub-phase 2C will include 50 units that are all affordable units. Bedford Dwelling Phase 2C is located in Council District 6. Total project costs are approximately $25,915,590. Number 2, Park Hills Drive, located in East Hills, with Trek Development, a partnership between Trek Development and Rising Tide Partners. Park Hill Drive is located and is an existing, naturally affordable home ownership community located in the East Hills neighborhood that has fallen into blight and disrepair. This project includes the rehabilitation of 34 residential rental townhomes that will convert to home ownership, as well as a strategy to address the significant infrastructure needs in that community beyond the scope of the LIHTC transaction. Park Hill Drive is located in Council District 9. Total project costs are estimated to be $17 million. Number 3, the Bethel in Lower Hill. This is a partnership between Bethel AME and WPP Development Group. The Bethel is a proposed 128-unit, 100% affordable housing development with a community facility space. They will use a twinned 9 and 4 LIHTC transaction. The Bethel is currently the only 100% affordable housing development proposed in the Lower Hill redevelopment area, and it exceeds the guidelines for 20% affordability set forth in the Lower Hill Community Collaboration and Implementation Plan, or CCIP. The Bethel is located in Council District 6. Total project costs are estimated to be $51 million. Project number 4, Carrick Senior Apartments located in the Carrick neighborhood, a partnership with CHN Housing Partners and Amani CDC. Carrick Senior Apartments development will revitalize a vacant 1.3 acre URA owned parcel in the Carrick neighborhood in the city. It will create 52 units of affordable housing for seniors aged 62 and up. The URA released an RFP for this land in 2020, and the board took affirmative action on exclusive negotiations for the project in its July 2023 meeting. Today's authorization is requested to extend the exclusive negotiations date through December 31st, 2024 to meet PHFA's LIHTC requirements. Carrick Senior Apartments is located in Council District 4. Total project costs are estimated to be $24,692,261. Project number 5 is Legacy Village located in Perry South, a partnership between Bridging the Gap and Legacy International Worship Center. Legacy Village is located on 2 to 3 blocks of land on Wilson Avenue in the Perry South neighborhood. It includes 34 units of affordable housing using a multi-building approach that will include 1 apartment building, 4 single-family detached buildings, and 4 townhomes. Legacy Village is located in Council District 6. Total project costs are estimated to be $20,336,849. Sorry. Project number 6 is the 4800 block of 2nd Avenue located in the Hazelwood neighborhood, and this is being developed by the community builders. This project will anchor the intersection of Hazelwood Avenue and 2nd Avenue with a 4-story mixed-use building containing ground floor commercial space with 40 mixed-income apartments, of which 33 are affordable, and the upper floors. 4800 block of 2nd Avenue is located in Council District 5. Total project costs are $19,293,754. And finally, let me take a breath. Finally, we have the North Homewood Avenue project located in Homewood. This is being developed by McCormick Baron Salazar or one of their related entities. The North Homewood development is located along North Homewood Avenue between Hamilton Avenue and Susquehanna Street. The project includes 58 rental units and approximately 4,500 square feet of ground floor retail space and live-work units. The project has secured 25 project-based Section 8 vouchers. The unit mix is family-friendly with over 60% of apartments in larger 2- and 3-bedroom sizes. North Homewood Avenue is located in Council District 9. Total project costs are estimated to be $20,336,849. And with that, I will say that URA staff are available to answer any questions that you may have. We may also have some of our development partners on the line to answer questions. I believe Nathan Van Patter is on the line from Rising Tide, as well as Mario Presida from WPP Development. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thanks, Chief Wasser. If any of the development partners on the line would like to add anything to Chief Wasser's presentation, I'll give you the opportunity. Okay. Any questions or comments from board members? I know there's a lot to cover there.
Quick question. Oh, sorry. This is one of the ones that don't really require URA action. Just the Cochran Jennison for Terrace Village. That's rehab, right? No, it's not. What are they proposing? Sorry.
My understanding is the application for 251 to 259 Borough Street is related to the remaining MROP units that have to come down.
Oh.
And then a
Okay.
new construction project that will result from that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
That was it.
So I will state to that point that the agenda itself lists out the applicants to our pre-application round who were not requesting URA owned land, but are requesting financing. So I can just quickly list them. 120 Cecil Way, which is in the Central Business District, 79 units. 421 7th Avenue, Central Business District, 40 units, CHN Partners. The first 120 Cecil was Beacon Communities. 111 5th Avenue, Central Business District, 86 units, Beacon Communities. 2112 Sydney Street, Southside Flats, 54 units, Standard Communities. 101st Avenue, Central Business District, 93 units, Beacon Communities. 4 Smithfield Street, Central Business District, 46 units, Woda Cooper. 259, 251 through 259 Borough Street, Terrace Village. 205 units, Corcoran Jennison multifamily.
Thank you, Chief Wasser. I just found out the presenters are online now. So Mario and Nathan, I give you the opportunity to add anything to Chief Wasser's overviews of your project specifically.
I just want to say thank you for the consideration. ML Meyer has been really essential in helping this to happen. And the Park Hill Drive Homeowners Association, East Hills Consensus Group has really been a big part of this. The URA has been a partner with us in Park Hill Drive since day one, and it's been because of the hard work that the URA has done with us that we've been able to get to this point. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Mario, if you're there, if you want to add anything.
Yes, I was internally on mute. Thank you all for your support. It's been terrific working with the URA. We're quite excited about our development opportunity with Bethel at the corner of Bedford and Crawford, and we are excited to move our project forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If there's no questions or comments from the board, I guess I would just say, as Chief Wasser mentioned at the beginning, this is, early action. So especially on the 9% applications, it is a competitive process, not just locally, but across the Commonwealth. So we were very, very fortunate last year getting 6 awards locally. Hopefully we are just as, if not more successful, come after the applications are in January. But there'll certainly be opportunities for those that receive awards for further discussion at this table. And I know some of the specific comments or questions that came up on individual projects around unit mix and whatnot. While there will be, proposed mixes in the applications, those will get refined as the projects develop. So just want to note that for the public. And on the projects that Chief Wasser went over that we don't have action on related to land, I would just note there are 5 that would be residential conversions, or in one instance, a preservation in downtown Pittsburgh. So just a further illustration of the opportunities that are presented downtown, and appreciate the creativity and willingness of folks pursuing those projects to, look at ways to make them, deeply and long-term affordable to residents that, are the folks that, we call essential workers and relied on. And, now we'll have an opportunity, should these projects get funded and move forward, to live, near, in many instances, where they work, and certainly have access to tremendous public transportation opportunities, because there's not a more transit-rich neighborhood, I think, in the region than downtown Pittsburgh. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments from board members.
I believe, so I should let the board know that since this is such early action, I did not ask every developer to join today. But it does look like Laura Goralnik from CHN is joined in the meeting, and potential, I see some comments in the chat. So she potentially wants to give some comments about her project.
Laura, if you're there.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate you noticing my raised hand. And yeah, because this is early action, I had not planned on making comment, but I appreciate that you've taken my comment. I just wanted to speak specifically on behalf of Carrick Senior Apartments at this point as it relates to the exclusive negotiation process with the URA, and thank the URA for partnering with us on a very complicated and complex deal. This is an opportunity that brings with it immense community support, and we are excited and honored to have taken on the challenge of revitalizing Berg Place into Carrick Senior Apartments. So thank you again for your partnership, and thank you for taking my comment.
Thank you, Laura. The questions in the chat had to do with what is a 4% tax credit and what is a 9% tax credit. Without sort of getting into deep tax law, which I would get very over my skis very quickly. I guess the shortest answer to this is the 9% tax credits do allow for a higher kind of yield of equity investment to fill more of the project costs. However, they are competitive. There's a limited amount that are available at the state. So every project that applies isn't awarded. On the 4%, they don't yield as much equity. So, can become more complex from a financing standpoint. But that said, they aren't competitive or are less competitive. And, projects that apply within the confines of the qualified allocation plan that the State Housing Finance Agency, which is PHFA, puts out, are, then guaranteed award of those credits. So hopefully that's helpful to the public and the folks who asked that question. There's no other questions or comments. I would entertain a motion to approve items 5G I1 through 7. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Then the motion carries. Thank you all. Thank you, Chief Wasser. We're going to move now into development services. Our first item within development services are the Farm-A-Lot program guidelines, and Lily Friedman will be joining us for this.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lily Friedman, and I am the URA's Manager of Development Projects. Today, I'm excited to share that the URA is seeking approval from the Board of Directors for the Farm-A-Lot program guidelines, along with 2 other related actions. An authorization to enter into a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with the City of Pittsburgh to formalize partnership terms considering the inspection of Farm-A-Lot sites, and an amendment to the urban agriculture policy adopted in February 2018. The goal of the program is to streamline the potential for farmers to access and activate publicly owned land for urban agriculture development, which the URA defines as urban land farmed for personal use, community use, or for selling agricultural products, as permitted by applicable local, state, and federal laws, as well as zoning code regulations. The Farm-A-Lot program operates through a 3-year license agreement to grant farmers access to their selected site for urban agriculture activities. If the project site is eligible for purchase, the farm may be inspected by the City of Pittsburgh during the growing season following the 1 year of operations milestone per the procedure of the MOU authorization voted on today. Depending on the results of the inspection, the applicant may be offered the opportunity to purchase the farm site through the Pittsburgh Land Bank. Given the specifications of the current Farm-A-Lot program guidelines, amendments to the 2018 urban agriculture policy, as proposed in this board action, include an adjustment for lot pricing to be considered on a case-by-case basis rather than a standard tiered structure, and a change to the 5 to 10-year lease terms. Before I pass the mic to our guest speaker, I'd like to give a shout out to the core URA Farm-A-Lot staff. Carly, Nazine, Lindsay, and Bailey, who have been going above and beyond their day jobs to bring this program back to life with me. Also, a special thank you to our partners at the Pittsburgh Land Bank, Sally and Emily, who have been key to pulling together the route to ownership, an immense value add for our urban ag communities. And lastly, thank you to our partners of the Land Access Committee organized by the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council, who have helped us bring this program to life in a way that is more equitable and accessible, as well as PASA, Sustainable Agriculture for technical expertise. And last but not least, the City of Pittsburgh as our partner through the city's sister program, Adopt a Lot. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mackenzie Pleskovic, a community planner for the City of Pittsburgh and lead on the city's Adopt a Lot program, to provide comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mackenzie Pleskovic. I'm the vacant property planner for the City of Pittsburgh's Department of City Planning. It goes without saying that the city is very excited about this new sister program to Adopt a Lot. The city and the URA in partnership have spent a lot of time collaborating on the MOU for Farm-A-Lot, and we're very excited about what this new program means for the future of land access opportunities and the expansion of urban agriculture in the city of Pittsburgh for local farmers, gardeners, and especially those facing food insecurity. We're looking forward to the activation of this program and future partnership and collaboration with the URA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, Lily. Any questions or comments from board members? Director Williamson?
Are there existing participants in the Farm-A-Lot program, or by bringing it back to life, or are you literally bringing it back to life?
Yes, we're bringing back to life in that the urban agriculture policy from 2018 was initiated as kind of the inception of the program, which never came off the ground after that due to changing staff and just changing priorities. And so that's kind of what we mean when we say that. There aren't any existing license agreements. We do have folks we're like in conversation with and excited to kick off the year with some programs activated, but yeah, no existing license agreements or projects.
I guess we're not literally bringing it to life anyway, but.
Plants are alive too. So. Lily, you mentioned the potential partnership and I guess purchase or ability through the land bank. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're really excited to be partnering with the land bank just based on, the disposition process being a lot more streamlined. And it's going to be a lot more accessible for urban agriculture professionals to be able to have that route to purchase. The land bank process is quite different from the URAs. It will be, I have some notes on it that I can talk through if that would be helpful. So yeah, basically applicants will need to complete and submit an application to purchase to the Pittsburgh Land Bank. Some of the similar procedures like site drawings and evidence of financing will also be needed through this project. Once the application is approved and finalized, the application will be presented to the land bank board, at which time, if a sale is approved, a 20-day objection period will occur. And only if 15 or more residents submit a petition objecting to the sale will a hearing be needed and a second vote of approval. So that's a little bit about the land bank process there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
Great.
Do we have a sense of what the potential demand is for this? And are all of we have a lot of vacant properties. Are they all safe for urban agriculture, or?
No, so the big core kind of decision-making factor in safety is going to be lead testing requirements, which will be like the first step in the inquiry process. So as soon as folks inquire about a particular process or parcel, they will be granted a right to access the site for that testing particularly. And once it is, you know, assumed safe in terms of the lead quantities, then they'll be able to move forward. But given what we know about Pittsburgh lands, you know, I think it's fair to say that definitely not all of our you know, vacant parcels will be available for urban ag.
Representative Powell.
Thank you so much for bringing this to the board. A question for you on how we're going to be able to determine the lots that have edible crops or edible food items on it versus like gardens, or excuse me, versus farm, like strictly farms. I asked this question because we have so many wonderful gardens on our through our Adopt a Lot program that I'm sure would be interested in trying to maybe utilize this new program to keep or purchase or extend their lease. Can you talk about how we may differentiate some of the existing gardens that have, again, edible items on them versus a farm?
Yeah, sure. So there isn't necessarily like a lead requirement that is for edible versus like non-edible in terms of like the way our program guidelines play out. Like if the soil is tested at 1,000 parts per million or less, then the farm will be you know, eligible for either edible or flower gardens. So we don't make a distinguishing point there. It's either like safe or not for all types of farming. So yeah, that's the kind of trigger point, 1,000 parts per million or less for lead. And there are some other factors within that. For example, you know, if it's 1,000 parts per million of lead in the soil, then actually at that level, only above ground. So like planter beds will be allowed. So there is kind of like a tiered system within that numbering that, you know, depending on the quantification, allows for only above ground planting versus below ground. Does that answer your question, Lindsay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for asking.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Lily, thank you. Mackenzie, thank you. The science class on soil testing was much appreciated. And impressive. Yeah, and impressive. So if there's no other questions or comments from board members, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Good. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Great. The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now making the hard pivot from farming to robots. Tom Link will be joining us for the NREC purchase option exercise. Chief Link, I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair, the board. And real quick, thank you, Lily. We list like, you know, primary and backup speakers on these agenda items. I'm very glad Lily was here and your backup speaker to have to speak to that because I would have had not have made those answers. So I appreciate that. Okay, National Robotics Engineering Center. So just for the URA's record and of course in the board report here, you know, this is an action as a real estate action. That's the conveyance of block 8N, you know, lot 6, 8, and 10 in the 9th ward, which is, you know, the National Robotics Engineering Center to Carnegie Mellon University for $1.5 million. And it's pursuant to a 1995 ground lease in which that lease has an exercise for purchase, an option to purchase, which is being exercised by Carnegie Mellon, and thus the board authorization here. You know, back in 1995, the URA and Carnegie Mellon partnered together for the development of the National Robotics Engineering Center, which led to this transaction. The URA having a ground lease with the purchase option that the CMU has developed and operated the center since that time. You know, just to kind of step back, and I'll say this is pure coincidence that the Panther Hollow TIF and this action are on the same board agenda, but similarly speaking, you know, it's interesting to look at the PowerPoint. We show a building, which is exciting, and it's a real estate transaction. But, you know, much more importantly than that, at least in my opinion, is really the robust economic activity and impact this project has had for the Pittsburgh region. over the last nearly 30 years, and certainly moving forward. You know, even just very recently, we've read, you know, public press about companies like Astrobotics, Gecko Robotics, others, and just the impact they have in our city in terms of not just the exciting innovation, which is certainly exciting and very important, but the investment that they attract, the jobs that these companies create. And those are just two examples of many, many, many others, both locally born and commercialized companies, as well as, you know, global companies coming to Pittsburgh to attract investment and to impact our economic prospects. And I would say candidly, you know, those of us who can remember 1995, I mean, frankly, Pittsburgh's economic prospects were not what they are today. And in many ways, projects, you know, developments like the NREC development are critical to that change in fortune for Pittsburgh and our region. I won't read the director's report. I'd invite folks, if you go to NREC's website, there's an impact report called NREC at 25, which has lots of amazing data on the impact that that NREC has had for our city and for the region. It's incredible. We talk about Robotics Row and the like, and certainly, but for the National Robotics Engineering Center, none of this impact would have happened. Oh, with that, I want to invite, I thank you for your patience. You know, Ralph Horgan, you know, Associate Vice President of Campus Design and Facility at Carnegie Mellon is here. Can answer any other questions or offer any other comment. And just from a staff perspective, you know, Lindsay Jupin and Alexander Thomas have really worked great, you know, done a lot of work here on the transactional side. And I thank, you know, all of my URA colleagues before me. We talked about projects that go back, but, you know, back in 25 plus years ago, quite a lot of creativity and foresight to enact this project. With that, you know, Ralph, thank you for joining us. And, yeah, Ralph can answer questions. So thank you so much to the board. And yeah, I'm finished with our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ralph, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add to Chief Blank's presentation.
Story. When we talked to Councilwoman Gross about this transaction, she asked us to do a neighborhood meeting with the Lawrenceville groups, which we did. And we invited former executive director Mulu Baru to speak and to give the history of the project and the site. And it was really emotional. It was really cool to hear him, you know, reminisce about it and say, today's Lawrenceville was not yesterday's Lawrenceville, and emphasize that. So we're proud to be partners with you in this. We're proud to be partners with the neighborhood, and we want to do more. So thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Any questions or comments from board members?
Sure. Can you briefly speak about your commitment to the site moving forward?
That facility, the director of the facility has been bugging me for 3 years to get this done. He's not going anywhere. He said, don't screw it up. Don't lose this deal. We need this building for our research. So it's a permanent move.
Thank you. Which means the permanent creation of more companies, more jobs, more economic vitality for the region.
It is a very intentional strategy on the university's part to achieve economic development for this city. We're doing a robotics innovation center at Hazelwood Green. Actually, we just broke ground last Monday. So we're going to continue. Thank you. And thanks, Tom, for the introduction.
Ralph, before you sit back down, sorry, you mentioned I'm sorry. I know. I'm sure. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. The community meeting that you had, you know, I know some of the conversation there. If you could just provide sort of an update on that, and then in particular, I know in terms of, you know, the conversations that you've had with the community or CMU's willingness to make investments sort of outside the fence line related to the trail, just for the public's benefit, if you could share a little bit on that.
Well, yeah, the trail's the easy part. We've been maintaining that for years, and we may actually have a reason to swap acreage that would give the permanent use of that trail to the city of Pittsburgh for its riverfront system. And then there are other things. We're just getting back in touch with the Lawrenceville folks today, actually, to set something up to say, how else can we be a good partner in this neighborhood? To be determined.
Got you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members? Yeah, you can go now. Thanks, Ralph. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Chief Flink. I think you summarized well the impact of this building, certainly over the last 25 plus years, and to Councilman LaBelle's, comments, the potential going forward and CMU's continued commitment. So it's exciting to see this before us. And again, a good example of, as you said, Tom, it's kind of good sort of poetry that this and the Panther Hollow TIF, at the same time, as examples of opportunities where the public stepped in and but for the actions of the URA, these projects don't, go forward, and we're not here sort of enjoying what those investments have brought to bear. So if there's no other questions or comments, entertain a motion to approve.
Moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you both. Going over to Fairwood and Crafton Heights, we have the Woodlow Estates green space, pardon me. And joining us for this is Cameron Weeks.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Cameron Weeks. I am the Senior Property Inquiries Analyst with the Real Estate Transactions team here at the URA. I'm here today to request approval of the proposal, form of contract, final drawings, and final evidence of financing, as well as an authorization to execute a deed for the sale of the properties listed on my slide here in the Ferrywood and Crafton Heights neighborhoods in the 28th Ward to Woodlow Estates Limited Partnership or a related entity for $46,000 plus costs. These properties, which contain approximately 5.92 acres, are either immediately adjacent to or are landlocked by Woodlow Estates LP's residential developments in Ferrywood and Crafton Heights. The parcels will be landscaped to beautify the area and expand outdoor activity for residents of the Emerald Gardens and Crafton Heights townhome developments. The total development cost will be $59,800 and will be funded with private equity. The URA board approved a similar sale to Woodlow Estates LP in 2014 for green space adjacent to their Village Apartments development. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Cameron. Any questions or comments from board members? I know this one's one that the council president's been looking forward to, as you said, Cameron, as a follow on to some of the investments that are happening down there in Ferrywood. So excited to see this before us today, to be able to, continue to move this forward. So if there's no questions or comments from board members, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Sounds like it.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, Cam. Now moving into administrative, we have a few items here. The first one is pertaining to our 2024 URA board annual meeting and the January 11th regular board meeting. And I'll turn it over, to our executive director, Sushila Namani-Stanger.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Authorization is being requested to reschedule the 2024 URA Board of Directors Annual Meeting, which is currently scheduled for Thursday, January 11th, 2024. The annual regular meeting shall be rescheduled for February 8th, 2024 at 2 p.m. so as to coincide with the regular monthly board meeting. Please note in the written agenda, it says 2023. We meant 2024.
Thank you, Director. It's not noted in the director's report, but the resolution that, in addition to what Director Namani-Stanger noted, our January 11th, 2023 regular meeting is canceled in addition to the annual regular meeting being on now February 8th, 2024. So with that, if there's no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Give it a second. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Then the motion carries. I will turn it back over to our executive director on appointment for secretary of the URA board.
Thank you. Authorization is requested of the appointment of Teresa Schecht as secretary of the URA board and the corporate secretary for the URA. Section 7 of the URA bylaws describes that the secretary serves as a liaison between the URA board and the URA administration and is responsible for supporting the board and its committees, including the giving of required notices of meetings of the board and the preparation of the minutes of the meeting of the board. The URA also has assistant secretaries that were appointed by the URA board at various meetings in accordance with Section 8 of the URA bylaws. Any questions or discussion?
Okay, seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Do we have a second? All those in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Our last item under administrative is authorization to approve the 2024 operating budget, and I will turn things over to our Chief Financial Officer, Damara Carter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Damara Carter, the Chief Financial Officer at the URA of Pittsburgh, to present our 2024 operating budget for the board approval. It is both an honor and our responsibility to shed light on the financial landscape that will guide us through the next fiscal year. Let me acknowledge the considerable financial support the URA has received. We are fortunate to have a substantial amount of funding. However, it is imperative to recognize that our available funds for administration are relatively modest. With the overall budget, for the financial fiscal year 2024, the URA operating budget is slated for $16,825,537. This budget serves as a financial blueprint that will fuel our activity, initiative, and projects over the next 12 months. It is a testament to our commitment to sustain urban development and community enhancement. What the overall budget is substantial, it is crucial to acknowledge the constraints we face regarding discretionary spending. Much of our funds are dedicated to projects, programs, commitments, leaving a comparatively small pool of resources available for administrative function. As steward of public trust and financial responsibility, we are dedicated to maximizing the impact of every dollar spent. Our team has crafted the budget to ensure that the limited discretionary funds are allocated strategically, prioritizing, sorry, I can't say it right now, key areas that will yield the greatest benefit for the community aligned with our mission. With that, I ask for your approval of our budget.
Thank you, Chief Carter. Any questions or comments from board members?
I do have one question. I do have one question, and this is, if you could just elaborate, you mentioned limited discretionary funds. I literally just had this conversation yesterday at the council table where a member just said, well, why can't you we give you millions of dollars. Why can't you simply do all this other stuff? And I was trying to explain that we actually have limited discretionary funds to just do all these random things. If you had to guess, what percentage of our budget do we actually have where we have that flexibility?
So URA receives a lot of grants, and we do receive a lot of grants, but we could get a grant for $1 million, but only $500 of that is for admin costs. And URA has 105 employees, and we have to pay for this building and different things. So we have a lot of expenses, but the grants that the URA receive is limited of how much we can spend on admin. Most of the money that we receive are restricted. So the URA may, out of all the money that we have, we may have 10% that we can do to admin. So it makes it a little difficult, and we will and deal and figure out how to make stuff work. So the admin costs, the admin budget, the operating budget, we work as a team, and we make things happen to make sure that the community of Pittsburgh is served.
Director?
Yes, if you don't mind, I would just quickly add, I think 10% is probably a generous percentage for that question. That 10% is the highest admin that we could typically collect on any grant, given the breadth of funding sources we have, it's more in line with like 1 to 5%. And some funding sources don't allow any admin.
Yeah, not all the funding sources that receive offer admin. So I'm nervous, excuse me. I like to be behind the scenes, but the URA, I mean, like I said, we do receive different grants, but most is restricted. It's you only can spend it in this area, or you only could do it for this project. Usually administrative is usually left out. So
But I like that question, and we can research and come up with a closer estimate for you.
Yeah.
And get back to the board.
Thank you. You don't have to do that for me. I'm really trying to drive a larger point home, that's all.
So
Sorry,
I
Director
just
Williamson,
wanted,
sorry.
I just wanted to say, and I know many of us have said this privately, but I just wanted to say publicly that the transparency, the organization, and frankly, the quality of information that we receive as board members and that the public receives as part of this budgeting process has improved so much since you took over as CFO. So I just wanted to make that statement publicly, and thank you for that.
thank you.
For the public's benefit, after Director Williamson made that comment, we could hear staff in the distance clapping. So just want to acknowledge that Chief Carter's colleagues also feel the same way. And you stole the words, Director Williamson, right out of my mouth. I was going to thank you. I know last year we talked about it, how early the budget was done, the collaborative process that you used, and we learned about with your colleagues. And then, by extension, the transparency that you've offered, to us as board members for our deeper understanding of what was going on in the public. So thank you very much for the work you do behind the scenes and the opportunities that we have to celebrate the work that you do, in front of the scenes, I guess.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions or comments from board members, entertain a motion to approve our 2024 operating budget.
So moved.
We have a second. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Chief Carter. Next item is our consent agenda. If there's no questions or comments from board members on any of the items for the consent agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve in its entirety.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Then the motion carries. For the public's benefit, we do have 2 items on the disclosure agenda, but there is no action required there. And before we adjourn, I do want to take the opportunity to acknowledge and thank County Executive-elect Ina Murato for her service to this board and this body and the public for your time on the URA board. It's been a pleasure to serve with you and get to know you better over these last 2 years. So thank you for that and agreeing to serve the city. And thank you for the work you're about to do as our county executive. I'll be brief there, turn it over to any of my fellow directors as well as staff to make comments.
No, also thank you for your service to the URA. What I look forward to, though, as you becoming our new county executive director, is the amount of collaboration that I believe we'll see now between the city, the county, and even the URA. So that part I look really forward to.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for your contributions and always your engagement. You're constantly taking notes and asking us complex and sometimes simple questions, but you're very engaged, deeply knowledgeable. And I'm sad to see you go, but I know that, our work on regional projects is vast. And so I'm looking forward to our work with you and your new role. So thank you.
Same thing. Yeah, of course. I was looking at you. Go for it.
No, it's just been an honor to serve. So with my fellow board members and, with the directors and the leadership team at the URA, it's been a little bit of a wild ride over the last 2 years. But I am so overwhelmed by the strides that have been made in that period and the work that is coming out of this organization. And you have absolutely not seen the last of me. To the councilman's point, there's a lot of work to do here in the city and throughout the region. And you absolutely have a partner in me and my new administration moving forward. And I'm really excited to see what we can do to make sure that we're investing in affordable housing, in small businesses and main streets, and really making sure that we can build an economy where we can all thrive. So thank you all for your work, and I look forward to what's next.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for joining us. And we will see you back in February.